These fragrances don't suck. Part 3 of our leathers and suedes. Scent Savant, let's go. Okay, part 3 of this series, the final part of this series. I did not realize how many leather and suede fragrances I had in my collection. I guess I freaking love leather and suede with little twists on it, because I could probably do 3 more videos of this. But today I have my top 5 best of the best suede leather fragrances for you, and we're starting right off with a banger. This house, Matiere Premier, has quickly become one of my top houses for what they do. Now this one we're talking about is Crystal Safron, the Extrait version. There is an EDP version, but this Extrait version is amazing. Let's talk about it. Now, one thing this house does that I believe they do better than any other house, which is why they're on my radar and why I have just gotten 8 of them in the last 6 months, I'm gonna get the rest, is that they pick one note and they take this one note and they amp it up to the max without changing the DNA and the structure and the smell of it. Then they add in a few other supporting notes, and so that one note can last all throughout the life of the fragrance. And then they add in their really high quality aroma chemicals and musks and ISO supers and things. And every one of their fragrances is beast mode, but in an elegant way. If you are attracted to scents that are like understated elegance, but you want them to be stronger, this house is the definition of overstated elegance. Simple, pleasing, sexy, unique, easygoing, but powerful, overstated elegance. It's like having the Louis Vuitton belt that doesn't have the LV on it, and you're like, okay, understated elegance. Well, this is having the Louis Vuitton belt, and the Louis V sign is supersized. This thing is fantastic. Now, if you've ever smelled the original and you're thinking that this is the same or close, it's absolutely not. The original is musky. This is a saffron bomb, and saffron is used to make this leather and suede note. And the original is musky at the top with a backbone of saffron. Well, this is saffron at the top with a backbone of musk. Now, this does have a slight incensey note there just to add some darkness and some depth. There really isn't smokiness. I would say out of 100%, it's like 10% smoky. It's the smallest amount, just to add some dust and some depth. The original has some musk at the top. This Extrait version has replaced the generic musk with a musk called habalanide. I don't know, I'm not saying that right, absolutely. But what that is that is a very high quality synthetic musk that adds a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of a floral touch. It's clean, it's strong, it has a slight woody undertone, and it's really, really, really nice. And the mid is the same. The mid is just pure saffron, which is what you're getting as your main note. And then in the base, the original, where it just has generic incense note, which the original is fantastic, the Extrait replaces that generic incense note with a note of frankincense and myrrh. Frankincense and myrrh is incense, and this thing bangs. And I'm so surprised of how they added all this incense, and it still doesn't change this saffron though. This is saffron. This is the best saffron that I can find, but bar none. Better than, you know, the Revolution that I spoke about before, Carter Barcelona's Revolution. This is it. And this thing is strong. This is my scent of the day actually today. That's why I started off with it. And it's so good. Sprayer's great. You know, nothing crazy, but just enough. You don't need crazy amounts of this, although I did 12 sprays. And I'm walking in and out of my fragrance room, and every time I'm entering, it's just a whoo blowing it up. And that was like an hour and a half ago. So this is ever beautiful. It is rounded and dense. It's not as airy as the original, and I love it for that. So the situational is different. But while it's also dense, the character of this is a little bit softer than the original, but it lasts longer. This fragrance is smooth with a delicate sweetness and a slight overtone of a leather note. And it's really not leathery, it's really not suede, but it is. People are going to think, is that leather? You smell a little leathery, but you smell fantastic. You smell other things as well. This is arousing. And if there was ever a way to go beast mode while still being sexy and still being just overstated elegance, simplicity, this is it. And this brand is it. It's mouth-watering, it's a little dusty, it's a little balsamic, a little leathery, it's a little musky, it's extremely well made, and it's tops in its class. If you are new to perfumes, this brand is an interesting one to look into. If you are a veteran in perfumes, this brand is an interesting one to look into because you're instantly going to recognize the quality. The quality is bar none. These may not be the most intricate and deeply woven fragrances. The quality is extremely high, and the fragrance that you're getting is exactly what you want to get in an overdosed fashion, built on top of itself with supporting notes that's going to give you everything you want in that style of genre fragrance. This is why I love this house, a house to definitely check out. Matiere Premier Crystal Safron. My goodness, it's sexy as hell. What are the notes in Encense Suave? Let's check them out.
The notes for Matiere Premier's Crystal Safron are top notes of aldehyde, middle notes of saffron, and this saffron is what you're mainly getting, and it runs all the way through the top, all the way through the bottom, and then base notes of ambroxan, myrrh, and frankincense. You do get this deep sort of incensey vibe, but the saffron really overtakes that, and the ambroxan is there to add some airiness. You're not getting a synthetic vibe. My goodness, this is a fantastic fragrance. Sexiness, alluringness, and really just a beautiful all-around fragrance. I do suggest you go to your Neiman Markets and test this one out because it is worth it. This whole line is worth it.
And next on the list, something that we have to talk about, which is the new Verity from Spirit of Kings. So Spirit of Kings has a brand made by Christian Provenzano, who actually has done all of the Boadicea Victoria's fragrances. And this guy is a master perfumer. Fantastic. He did all of this line. This is fantastic. Oh, this is an oud wood dope, by the way, and it's fantastic. That video is coming up. But this guy did this whole new line. Beautiful freaking bottle. There's like little crystals on the top. This guy right here. This is the best iteration clone dupe in the sea of lookalikes that I have ever found of Aventus. Yes, it's been done 1,000 times. You can go to almost any house, they're gonna have their version of it. But I wanted to give you something new, and I wanted to give you something that I thought is really worth the quality. If you're tired of regular Aventus itself, if you can pick this up for cheaper than regular Aventus, which I believe you can, which I did, this is my favorite iteration of this DNA. Why? Because what Christian did is he hit the absolute head on the nail. It's a juicy pineapple at the top. The birch is taken out, so there's no smokiness, but what's added in, it's exactly Aventus. The birch is taken out, but what's added in is there's an aldehyde note at the top. It doesn't make it soapy, it just makes it fresher and cleaner. So I get better performance out of this than I do out of Aventus. I enjoy this more because it's more familiar to my nose while not being smoky and being a fresher take on Aventus. I'll wear this all year round. This is office appropriate. This is everywhere appropriate. Obviously it's Aventus, right? I've tried all the clones there is. Everyone, every house. They're good, they're okay. None of them hit it on the head right like this one. This is a fruity pineapple, complex woods, and a freshness that is surprisingly good without this soapiness. So this is the best iteration of create Aventus that I could find. Very high quality, has that little bit of leathery, suede backbone in there. They call this a chypre. It's in the chypre class, but it doesn't smell anything like a chypre. This is everyday, all day, easy wear, boardroom, work, play, fun, date. And surprisingly, my wife was like, that smells sexy. I'm like, yeah. She likes Aventus. What are the notes in Spirit of Kings Verity? Let's check them out.
The top notes for Verity Spirit of Kings Aventus Killer is top notes of bergamot, pineapple, and aldehydes. Middle notes of leather, rose, and jasmine. Base notes of patchouli, oak moss, and amber. All of the notes basically mimic Aventus, except for the top notes of aldehydes and the bottom notes, the birch is taken out. Again, this aldehydes really just adds a freshness rather than a soapiness, more of an airiness and a lighter feel, while still getting this juicy pineapple at the top, this light leather chypre-esque base at the bottom. The florals are there just to add some density and some alluringness. This fragrance really, for me, kicks up any other Aventus dupe, clone, or inspiration along all other houses, really takes the cake. But how many Aventus clones do we actually need? Do we need another one? Probably not, but this is one worth checking out.
Okay, I don't know. Has anybody talked about this one? This is Louis Vuitton Sur La Route. This is sexy, high class, masculine, easygoing, easy wear, effervescent, one of the more underrated gems of Louis Vuitton. And I've heard that it's in the process of getting discontinued. So if this scent interests you, if the idea of a fragrance like this interests you, definitely go out and look for it, pick it up. I got this one at discounters, and this is an easier and cheaper version to actually get than most of the other high-end Louis Vuittons. Now, Sur La Route, let's get a spray. Sur La Route is definitely understated elegance. This fragrance does not shout. This is not a beast mode fragrance. It's a simple freshie that starts out with a blast of citrus, mainly a bergamot and an orange, and then goes into this smooth leather. It's not pigskin, it's not sort of dark and brooding. It's very light, effervescent, easy, understated elegance that comes with a trail. This does have a sillage and a trail to it that is fantastic. There is also a backbone of this Hedione and Iso Super, so it does push out and it does have this sort of slight aroma chemical in the most pleasing and pleasant way. In fact, I always layer this one with a molecule one because it acts like it has this sort of molecule-esque tonality to it that goes perfect with any one of these molecule fragrances. Now it dries down to a citrus, woody, leather vibe that has this airiness to it that is extremely hard to achieve. I have only found that in a couple other fragrances, and the scent is not like this one, so this is why this is in my collection, because it does something great. Drop the cap. No! This is hard to achieve by any other fragrance house except for Louis Vuitton because they do freshies so well. This is in the same vein as something like a Dior Homme Cologne, where you're gonna have that freshness, that effervescence, and it's not gonna shout, it's gonna be that understated elegance. You can spray this 40 times and get in a car to go on a 4-hour road trip and not offend the person next to you. They're gonna be getting it the whole time, but they're not gonna be offended because the scent isn't attacking them as much as it's enveloping and coming in and out with those aroma chemicals. It doesn't smell exactly like Dior Homme Cologne, which smells like lemonade, but this has a poppiness of that citrus and leather that comes off the skin with an effervescent feel that just sort of just comes alive. It's very lively, it's very energetic, it's very peaceful, actually pretty calming. I put this into my calming fragrances list. Again, not a beast mode scent. This could almost be a serenity scent. So longevity, not the best. I'm getting 4 to 6 hours, maybe 5. Dying down to a skin scent at 3 to 4 hours. But totally fine for what it is. I will reapply it. And that's where I get from the smell. I wore this the other night to a dinner with a buddy, and 6 hours after application, I'm walking through the casinos. He's walking behind me, and he's like, "Man, you smell fantastic. What are you wearing?" "Oh, that's the Louis Vuitton," which goes to show that it's a molecule fragrance. Just like these ones, you go anosmic to this no matter what, but other people are still smelling it the whole time. This would be a fantastic quick lunch date scent that attracts but doesn't overwhelm. This would be brunch, this could be breakfast, this could be road trip, this could be easy wear, lingering, going to study at Starbucks, going to study at the library. Serenity scent, this has its place. Check this one out. The leather in this is one of the most effervescent, fresh, light leathers I've ever experienced. That is Louis Vuitton's Sur La Route. What are the notes in Louis Vuitton's Sur La Route? Let's check them out.
The top notes for Louis Vuitton's Sur La Route is citruses, Calabrian bergamot, lemon, and pink pepper. Middle notes of grass, nutmeg, hedione, and cardamom. Base notes of leather, cedar, patchouli, isoe super, and Peru balsam. And again, this melange of citruses at the top with this little bit of pink pepper that adds the tiniest bit of sweetness comes into that middle where we do get a little bit of spice along with that leather, and that isoe super really pushes it out. Again, Louis Vuitton does such natural citruses so well that you're not going to get anything that seems like it's synthetic. It is very natural to its core. It's light-hearted. It is the ultimate understated scent. Very, very good, special one worth checking out.
And our last two are absolute bangers. So we're talking about leathers and suedes, and we have to include an orris or an iris note. Iris is definitely one of my top fragrance notes. We're gonna have an iris video coming out soon with a ton of different irises that a lot you haven't heard of. But this one today is Iris Malikhan by Maison Crivelli. This is a banger. Oh my goodness. A subtly sweet gourmand that's peppery, smooth with an orris and a slight iris touch. There's a slight makeup baggy, but there's a little bit more orris and a little butteriness, a little bit of suede, and a slightly green aspect. My goodness, this is amazing. It smells like nothing on the market, but yet it's very familiar at the same time. These notes are blended super well. There is this sort of ashy grittiness to the pepperiness, and it's really, really great. Which one of you guys have tried this one out there? Let me know. Put that in the comments. It's light and it's airy with a heavy presence. I love the opening, and the dry down is divine with this orris and this sort of chocolate powderiness to it. It has this slight gritty texture with this sort of slightly herbal quality from this galbanum that's in there with a slightly green herbal quality. It dries down to a suede, musky, buttery orris. Now, what I really think is super unique about this, besides it being this perfect draw down the line unisex scent from this sort of herbal pepperiness, is this galbanum note in here. The galbanum note in here is slightly green and adds that herbalness. It adds a little bit of liveness to it, a little bit of sort of energy, a spark to it. This is a sillage fragrance. The sillage on this is divine. For some reason, it just pushes 3-5 feet. You'll be sitting across the table at dinner. My wife will wear this all the time. She's now kind of owned this, and gosh, it's so pretty on her. And then on her, the orris comes out more. When I wear this on me, the pepper comes out more with that orris and that slightly dusty chocolate in the background. And this is a little bit more herbaceous on me, a little bit more masculine on me, and a little bit more feminine on her skin. Gosh, so good. Unisex right down the middle. The scent is divine. The ciliage is intense. 6 to 8 hours longevity. This becomes a skin scent at 5 to 6 hours, but it really pushes, and if you heat up, it starts to push out more. So it's a thick concentration where it sits on your skin, kind of goes into your skin and then comes out. You're in it for the long haul. A good 8 hours with this. It's work appropriate. It's a super sexy date night fragrance. You can wear this on the weekends, gallivanting through the forest. It really plays a lot of roles. Is great, and it's super unique in its category. Nothing else smells like this. What are the notes that we have on Iris Malikhan?
And the notes of Iris Malikhan by Maison Crivelli are orris, vanilla, leather, galbanum, mastic or lensic, amber, cypress, mimosa, cinnamon, pink pepper, coriander, and black currant syrup. The orris and the vanilla, the leather and the galbanum, and maybe a little bit of amber is what I'm getting mostly. Then this fragrance is unlike any other fragrance on the market, but very unique and still very appealing. It will remind you of what orris and iris smell like in such a different way that it is definitely worth checking out. A date night staple killer, smooth, slightly sweet, almost gourmand-esque, leathery orris butter iris. Fantastic.
Last but not least, the #1 spot on our leathers and suede top list.
You were the champion.
And these were not ranked, but this one is ranked. This is it. Now, if you hear this fragrance, you're going to know exactly what it is. If you've ever smelled this fragrance and thought it was a little too floral and a little too femme-leaning, then this replaces that and makes it more masculine. If you love this fragrance, because this fragrance has a cult following, and you have not smelled this one, I put money on it that this might and probably most likely and will replace for you. So the fragrance that we have is Boadicea the Victorious Harmonious. Let me just say, I love Dior Homme Parfum. I love the iris note. I love the makeup bag smell. I love the cacao feel. I love that little leathery in the background. It's elegant. It's pure sexiness. It is black tie. It is white t-shirt. It transcends everything. And it's a cult favorite among the Fragcom community. As soon as I got this in, and I got this the day it released, I immediately sold my Dior Homme Parfum. Gone, done, don't need it anymore, don't want it anymore. Dior Homme Parfum was fantastic, and it borderlined unisex, slightly leaning a little bit more masculine because of that leather note. Dior Homme Intense, I can see how some people sort of thought that it goes into the feminine circle. I wear it all the time. My wife actually loved that one. But Dior Homme Parfum was a little too more masculine for her. When I hit this guy, I was absolutely done. This takes the cake. They hit the nail right on the head of Dior Homme Parfum and made it better. Now, Boadicea does that. They will take other fragrances and they will kick up the intensity, they'll kick up the quality of the smell, they'll kick up the quality of the ingredients, they'll make it last longer, they'll make it more 3D. Boadicea does this thing where they can make fragrances more 3D, more dynamic, and I love them for that. I love this so much, I bought this when it first came out for about $400. I just got one of these a couple months ago, a backup bottle for $200. That's right, you can find these now at the same price point that you can find Dior Homme Parfum. So there's no excuse not to look for this guy. It's well worth it. It'll take the cake of your Dior Homme Parfum. Now why? Because in the top, this adds some notes that kick it more into that masculine area. At the top, we have some cognac and some rum. Automatically makes it a little bit more masculine. And then we have some spiciness and a little bit more kicked up from the cardamom, which already pushes that into this more masculine phase. This is stunning. It is spot on. No other fragrance has hit that Dior Homme iris note like this. Spot on. If you put this in a different package, if you put this in a Dior package and labeled it a flanker, you wouldn't think twice and you'd go for this one. As a date night iris, as a all-around iris leather, this has taken the cake. This is the #1 in my collection. Harmonious. You gotta get a sample of this. And I will say that I think that they made the fragrance, they let it sort of sit for a while and macerate. And when I got it, I was probably only getting 5-6 hours out of it. Now that it's aerated and oxidized, I am getting 8-9 hours out of it. Easily. Like I'll go out. The last time we wore it to dinner 2 months ago, and I wore it at nighttime. I put it on at like 6 p.m. We got home at like 12. Took off my shirt, put on bedtime shirt, woke up the next morning, and I could still smell this thing. It kicks, it performs, it's elegant, it's beautiful. Let's look at the notes, and we're going to talk about this more.
And the top notes for Boadicea the Victorious Harmonious, the DHP killer, Dior Homme Parfum exists no more because these guys did it better. The top notes are ambrette or musk mallow, cognac, cardamom, saffron, bergamot, cinnamon, middle notes of orris, May rose, cashmere wood, coriander, base notes of leather, musk, sandalwood, vanilla, amber, and vetiver. I put everything I own that this is way better than Dior Homme Parfum, and now that the price point has come down, it is by far more worth it. Worth it for me to have grabbed a backup bottle at this lower price and really not angry that I got it on the day that it dropped for a higher price, because it is that worth it. Guys, go check this one out wherever you can. Get a sample, let it rock, see how you feel about it. Put it to the test next to your Dior Homme Parfum. I promise it will not disappoint.
And I have an honorable mention. If you like Dior Homme, you like Dior Homme Parfum, and you like Dior Homme Intense for a cheapie, man, I was surprised how good this is. This is Camaro Homme Intense by Pandora Scents. I think this thing was like $40. It's a little bit sweeter. There's a little bit more vanilla aspect to it, but it's darn near perfectly close. I don't know, 80%. I don't know percentages, but it's right there. Good, fantastic buy for $40. You know, I'll often wear this around the house. Wife likes it. She can tell it's a little sweeter than her precious Dior Homme, but a fantastic one at that. That is Camaro Homme Intense by Pandora Fragrances.
Giveaway time. As I talked about in the second video of the suede and leathers, I am giving away a 200 ml of To Me Continuum. Fantastic rum and coke scent with a little bit of tobacco spice, a little bit of suede, and a little bit of mulled spices in the background. Really good, easy going, easy wear, good for the fall. And so we're going to do a few things. We're going to comment, we're going to like, and we're going to subscribe. Got to be subscribed to the channel, got to like the video, today's video, and comment on the video. And the buzzword is going to be To Me. Super simple, easy. Buzzword To Me. So I did a full review on this of part 2 of the leathers fragrance videos. If this sounds interesting to you after the review, check out the review on the other video. If it sounds interesting to you, put To Me in the comments. Make sure you're liked, make sure you're subscribed,
and I will send this to you for free. Right now, since this is a big bottle, I'm going to do this just in the US, the continental US. So, but I am sending some other winners that have won in England and in Spain. I'm sending them their decants. But this guy is going to be for the US subscribers only right now. Brand new 200 mil, haven't even peeled off the tab. Okay, so that's the giveaway. Comment to me. Bam!